Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jayo Radha Vrindavan Bihari Radha Vrindavan Bihari Radhe. Jayo Radha Madan Mohan Lalita Devi Radha Madan Mohan Lalita Devi. Jayo Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan. Jayo Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jai Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Sata Sri Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Sata Sri Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3, entitled Yamaraj Instructs His Messengers, text 26. Evam vimrishya sudiyo bhagavatyanante Evam vimrishya sudhiyo bhagavatyanante सर्वात्मना विदते खलु भावयोगम् सर्वात्मना विदधते खलु भावयोगम् ते मे न दण्डम् अर्हन्ति अथ यद्यमीषाम् ते मे न दण्डम् अर्हन्ति यथा यद्यमीषाम् स्यात् पातकं तदपि हन्त्युरुगाय वादा स्यात् पातकं तदपि हन्त्युरुगाय वादा एवं विमृश्य सुधियो भगवत्यनन्ते सर्वात्मना विदधते खलु भावयोगम् ते मे न दण्डम् अर्हति यथा यद्यमीषाम् स्यात् पातकं तदपि हन्ति उरुगाय वादा. एवं विमृश्य सुधियो भगवत्यनन्ते सर्वात्मना विदधते खलु भावयोगम्. ते मे न दण्डम् अर्हत्यता यद्यमीषाम् स्यात् पातकं तदपि हन्त्युरुगाय वादः. एवं विमृश्या सुधियो भगवत्यनन्ते सर्वात्मना विदधते खलु भावयोगम्. ते मे न दण्डम् अर्हत्यता यद्यमीषाम् स्यात् पातकं तदपि हन्त्युरुगाय वादः. माताजी. एवं विमृश्य सुधियो भगवत्यनन्ते सर्वात्मना विदधते खलु भावयोगम्. ते मे न दण्डमर्हति यथा यद्यमीषाम् स्यात् पातकं तदपि हन्त्युरुगाय वादः. Okay, word to word translation. Evam, thus, vimrishya, considering, sudiyah, those whose intelligence is sharp, Bhagavati, onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anante, the unlimited, Sarva Atmana, with all their heart and soul, Vidadate, take to, Khalu, indeed, Bhava Yogam, the process of devotional service, Te, such persons, may, my, na, not, dandam, punishment, arhanti, deserve, ata, therefore, yadi, if, amisham, of them, syat, there is, patakam, some sinful activity, tat, that, api, also, hanti, destroys, urugaya vadaha, the chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. Considering all these points, therefore, intelligent men decide to solve all problems by adopting the devotional service of chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart and who is a mine of all auspicious qualities. Such persons are not within my jurisdiction for punishment. Generally, they never commit sinful activities, but even if by mistake or because of bewilderment or illusion they sometimes commit sinful acts, they are protected from sinful reactions because they always chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Purport. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verse from the prayers of Lord Brahma. Atapite deva padambujadvaya prasadalesha nugrahita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko pichiram vichinvan. The purport is that even though one is a very learned scholar of the Vedic Shastras, he may be completely unaware of the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His name, fame, qualities, and so forth. Whereas, one who is not a great scholar can understand the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he somehow or other becomes a pure devotee of the Lord by engaging in devotional service. Therefore, this verse spoken by Yamaraj says, Evam Vimrisha Sudhiyo Bhagavati. Those who engage in the loving service of the Lord become Sudhiyaha, intelligent. But this is not so of a Vedic scholar who does not understand Krishna's name, fame, and qualities. A pure devotee is one whose intelligence is clear. He is truly thoughtful because he engages in the service of the Lord, not as a matter of show, but with love, with his mind, words, and body. Non devotees may make a show of religion, but it is not very effective because although they ostentatiously attend a temple or church, they are thinking of something else. Such persons are neglecting their religious duty and are punishable by Yamaraj. But a devotee who commits sinful acts, which he may do unwillingly or accidentally because of his former habits, is excused. That is the value of the Sankirtana movement. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. We like to welcome all devotees to today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We seek your blessings to able to speak and discuss something on this subject matter. Some months ago when we had to give class, we were sitting by Yamuna. I thought that was bad enough. And then we came to Seva Kunj. Thank God I escaped that. But then we are now in Damodar, so feeling not very qualified to be sitting in Seva Kunj also, Radha Damodar, but Prabhupada's room. And so anyways, we'll try to discuss something. So this verse, 26th verse, this is a famous section of verses that glorify the holy name. This is a section where Yamaraj is actually responding or replying to his Yamadutas. Right? And he's giving so much beautiful glories of chanting the holy names, this Ajamil section. So the translation will just repeat. Considering all these points, Yamaraj starts. So what are these points? Considering all these points. These are the points that were discussed yesterday and the day before. Right? Basically how ritualistic people, scholars of the Vedas, they are so much attached to rituals, but factually they are attached to dharma, artha, kama and moksha. They are attached to swarga. They are not actually attached to the Supreme Lord. So considering all these points, intelligent people, real intelligent people, sudhiyaha, they want to solve all miseries and problems of life by taking up to devotional service. Here it's mentioned the word sarvatmana. Sarvatmana means wholeheartedly. So when someone takes up to devotional service, it is to be understood that they do it wholeheartedly. So it's not, you can do a little here, a little there. Like probably all of us, if you remember our pre-bhakti lives, we were Monday worshipping someone else, Tuesday worshipping someone else, Wednesday some other puja, Thursday something else. That was our culture, But it was not really sarvatmana, right? It was not even atmana. So here Prabhupada says sarvatmana means wholeheartedly. And then he uses this word bhava yogam. Now bhava yoga means bhakti yoga. It's interesting because in Bhagavad Gita we see the word buddhi yoga. Right? And Prabhupada says buddhi yoga means bhakti yoga. So there's buddhi and there's bhava. Buddha bhava samanvitaha. So both are needed. So here Bhava Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. So some lessons we can see from this verse. 4 lessons I could think about what we can learn from this. The first is that we can only understand the Supreme Lord by devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, His name, fame, can only be understood by pure devotional service, not by any amount of scholarship. Prabhupada quotes this verse by Brahmadev, Atapi de deva padambojam tvaya. Right? And we also see other verses, Bhaktya mam abhijanati, like that. So the first lesson we can learn is to understand Krishna as he is can only be done by bhakti. Second, we see that what does pure devotee mean? So in the purport, Prabhupada mentions pure devotee is one who is sarvatmana, whose body, mind and words are always dedicated to the service of Lord. This is a definition of pure devotee. Someone's body, mind and words are dedicated to the Supreme Lord, who's always thinking about the Lord. Prabhupada draws a contrast with non-devotees who may go to the church or may go to the temple and be very religious, one can say, in their external, but internally their mind is thinking of something else. Right? Many times we may go to the temple and pray or do something, but the mind is thinking that, no, I need to solve this problem, I need to get out of this issue, so we may not be there. Now, this is also kind of a reflection for us when we are chanting, when we are praying, or when we are worshipping in Mangalarati, or we are worshipping Prabhupada in Guru Puja. So are we glorifying the personalities, or in the back of the mind we have a agenda, as they say, no? Anya hetu. Right? So pure devotional service is body, mind and words dedicated to the Supreme Lord and always thinking about the Supreme Lord. There's a very famous Christian preacher. So her name is Joyce Meyers. And she's quite old now. She's like 80 plus years. But she has been doing, conversions around the world. She's like one of the biggest Christian preachers. So she said a very nice quote. She says, "Where the mind goes, the man follows." She said, "Where the mind goes, the man follows." So similarly, when we also pray and we also chant and we also think, that hetu or that anya hetu, whatever that kind of, what did I say in English it was? You have some ulterior motive for, some agenda. I said agenda. You have some agenda in the head. That is where you'll end up. We will not end up in Krishna. So this is the second lesson we can learn from this purport. The first being only understand Krishna through pure devotional service. The second, what does a pure devotee mean? Third point Prabhupada brings out is that such a devotee, such a sarvatmana bhakta, although unwillingly or accidentally commits sin, is excused. So we all know this verse that comes in Bhagavad Gita, apichet suduracharo. Here's a kind of another verse which, speaks about the same thing, that devotees are excused from their sins. This particular verse. Maybe not now, I don't know, but at least in earlier times in ISKCON, there was this Namamrita book, this Nectar of the Holy Names. It's a very interesting green book, very big compilation. So in that book, the title given for this verse is, "For one who always chants the holy name, unintentional sins are excused." That's the theme of this verse given in that book. So Chakrutipat mentions here, of course we know unintentional sins means due to, push, former bad habits, or sometimes, absent-mindedness, something we may do. For example, you go to the sink, you turn on the water, there are ants running around, and next thing you know, there's a tsunami, the ants, and the ants get washed off. Part of your 10% of your alert consciousness is thinking, oops, karna nahi chahiye tha. 10% of your alert consciousness is thinking, oops, I think I just killed an ant. Ye paap lagega ke nahi? Right? But 90% of the consciousness is just, we don't even realize it. We switch on. But think about it, tsunami, an ant. Can you imagine when tsunami struck our world? Imagine such floods and people are just swept away, drowning and dying. So we think about that ant. It's actually suffering like that. You may not have very high consciousness. So sins are committed at every step. This world is very difficult to be without sin. Right? So Chakravarti Part here mentions two things. Not only sin due to forbidden acts or sinful activities. He mentions we are also forgiven for ritualistic acts which we cannot perform. For example, daily or occasional rites of karma yoga. Now, I feel, that this is not very valid nowadays because nobody has any background of that. Like someone who has been doing their nitya karmas. Nitya karmas means you are so-called born in a Brahmin family, you wake up, you do all your, morning pujas and this and that, and your nitya karmas, you do your nyasa, your purifications. And so he's saying that if you become a devotee and you're unable to do all that, you're forgiven. This is what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says. So two things, unable to do your nitya karmas, or if you do some sinful. So which one Prabhupada picks up? The second one. Why the first one? Hey nahi. Who knows what is nitya and what is karma? Isn't it? No one has ever been doing anyways. None of this. So for today's age, day and age, maybe Chakravarti Path's time, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur was the middle-age acharyas. Right? He was around 400 years ago, 350, 400 years ago. So 400 years ago, culture was there. People will feel bad, taken up to bhakti, 24 hours I'm chanting, I'm not able to wake up morning and do my nyasa and purify my body. I'm not able to do my jata karmas and my purify my hands and purify. Unable to do all this. Am I sinning? That is what those 400 years ago people will think. But nowadays we switch on a tap and kill an ant. We think, oh my God, I've done sin, isn't it? So very nicely Prabhupada has taken this part of the explanation of Chakravarti Path. This is the third lesson we can learn. I'll just repeat. First is we can only understand the Supreme Lord through devotional service. Second, the meaning of a pure devotee, to dedicate body, mind and words to always think of the Lord. Third, that a devotee, even if unintentionally due to some force or bad habit, absent-mindedness, foolishness, one can say, commits sin, if he always constantly chants the holy name, he can be forgiven. And fourth lesson we can see from this verse or this purport is the power of the holy name, Sankirtan, pure devotional service. Right? So powerful is the holy name, it can elevate a person, rid sinful activities. So Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture on this verse in Gorakhpur in 1971, where Prabhupada was even so magnanimous. He said that, so I'll read the lecture. One who is so much attached onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he constantly associates with him simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra or by performing devotional service. Yamaraj does not, I mean to say, give only stress on Hare Krishna mantra. The Prabhupada is giving a purport to what Yamaraj is saying. He's saying, Yamaraj is saying here, Urugaya Wada. You see the last line, Urugaya Vada. Urugaya means the Supreme Lord, who is glorified by great saints. Urugaya Vadaha. Right? That Kirtanam which glorifies that Supreme Lord. So, Prabhupada is saying that Yamaraj is not only saying Kirtan. Prabhupada is saying Yamaraj is also saying all forms of pure devotion, all forms of bhakti. That means all the angas of bhakti, the 9 limbs of bhakti. So, Prabhupada is being even more magnanimous. Here the emphasis is chanting, but Prabhupada says any 9 limbs, still you're saved. Right? So then Prabhupada goes on. He is giving stress on different process of devotional service. He is giving stress on different process of devotional service. Bhagavatya anante sarvatmana vidadate khalu bhava yogam. Sarvatmana. So Prabhupada gives a purport to this. Sarvatmana means what? Wholeheartedly, isn't it? But Prabhupada says sarvatmana. Sarvatmana means in all respect. Sarvatmana means everything. Right? And bhava yoga means bhakti yogam. So if anyone takes to bhakti yoga seriously, without any reservation, that means Shuddha Bhakti. So very kind of Prabhupada. The fourth point we can understand that chanting is so powerful, but actually all the angas of bhakti are capable. So someone may ask a question, that only kirtanam, if I do archanam, can I be forgiven for my offenses? If I do, dasyam or whatever, other 9 angas, can I be forgiven? Yes, bhakti is powerful in all the angas. But here specifically Harinam is given. Why? Because it's the easiest. Anytime, anywhere. Isn't it? Anyone. Like they say, na? From your place, at any pace, you can join the race. Isn't it? From your place, at your own pace, you can join the race of bhakti. Anyone can join anytime. Something like that? You will achieve the grace. Okay. Right? From your place, at your pace, you can achieve the grace. Right? Anyone can, from any point, any time, take up to bhakti. But chanting is the most easiest. So we are so fortunate to be part of this Sankirtana movement, blessed to chant the holy names, especially to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. And specifically, as we read the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, we see the magnanimous nature of Gaur Nitai. So, especially coming to deliver the unimaginably fallen people, right? Us, me. Many words in, when we study this, many words are used to repeatedly describe such persons. So, in our study, I kind of like noticed that some words are used to describe fallen people, and I found it very interesting. So I started noting them down. Right, trying to identify myself, self-searching. I thought. So I saw 7 kinds of people. Right. So we'll try to discuss whatever time allows. So first is the papi, right? Papi means sinful. Second is daridra. These are the words used to, how you say, label or identify people in Kali Yuga. Papi and daridra, Nicha. That's the third. Fourth is patita. Fifth is dukita. Sixth is adhama. And seventh is murkha. Right? Some little soul searching here. So we'll see each of this. What is this about? Why these terms are used? Very interesting. So first is papi. Papi means sinful person. It means those who are addicted to vices. Right? Basically, it means primarily breaking the 4 regulative principles. When Narada Muni is advising Vyasadev in first canto Bhagavatam, he says how jivas in this world are accustomed to sinning. He says, Jugupsitam dharma krita enusasataha swabhava raktasya mahan vyatikramata. Swabhava raktasya. It is naturally they are inclined to commit sin. So for a conditional soul, to commit sin is like hard wiring. So this is what papi is, sinful people. So we see an example of like Jagai Madai, committing all kinds of sin. But holy name is so powerful. Narottam Das Thakur sings, Papi tapi jata chilo hari nama udharilo. So whether a person is a papi or a tapi here means basically a person who does tapasya. So here they are gauging between papa and punya. Whether you have done papa or whether you have done punya, whatever it is, right? For Harinam, both can be extinguished. So that's the first kind of people, the sinful people. They are also delivered by the Supreme Lord. Second, we see the daridra. Daridra are poor people. Now, primarily here, poor means economically poor. So this is due to prarabdha karmas. Prarabdha karmas, person suffers great poverty. It is mentioned in Shastras that someone who has never given charity in their life, they take birth in poor families. Right? This is the impulse or the impetus to do charity, that you'll never become poor in your next life. But someone who born poor, it's to be understood, right, according to Shastras, that they probably have never done any kind of charity in their life. So it's a big suffering. Such people, daridras, are forced into hunger, begging. Their situation, if you look at them, always desperate, always desolate. I'm sure you can try to imagine daridra. It's a very painful situation. Srila Prabhupada in general says that all of us are poor because we don't have prema dhan, right? So in one sense we are all poor. But specifically it's for the, downtrodden, a little economically backward, tough life. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is compared to a gardener, transcendental gardener. And there's one verse that explains how Mahaprabhu is growing this beautiful tree and so many fruits are coming. And now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he does? He starts plucking those fruits, collecting it with all his hands and is distributing it in 4 directions and feeding all the hungry people. Right? This is a beautiful verse. Anjali Anjali Bhare Fele Chatur Dishe Daridra kudhaya khaya malakara hase. And Mahaprabhu is laughing, smiling. Cow, cow, cow. Poor people, no? Eat, eat. Sometimes when we go for um, prasad distribution, right? So when we go to very poor areas, I'm not sure if you all have experienced. It's not that you do prasad distribution because you have to finish your food. Sometimes temples do this, no? When they have leftovers, they go to one place and just to finish it off. But I'm talking about actual going to a desolate area, someone who's actually in need. And if you have experience of that, we have seen, no? Like even when I was in Malaysia and here some places also, we used to go to places where there's full of drug addicts and poverty people and red light district area where there's a lot of horrible situation, and you can actually see the people that come and approach and ask for food, so desperate, so hungry. Probably this is the only proper meal they get. It's very painful. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here is giving out his mercy and he's smiling, take, take, because he's so happy seeing them getting nourishment. So that's the second kind of person, Daridra. They are also delivered by the Supreme Lord. So the Papi is also delivered by Lord Chaitanya. The Daridra is also delivered by Lord Chaitanya. Now let's see the third kind, the Nicha or the Chandal, sometimes the word is used. Now these are generally low-born people. Those who are low-born or underprivileged, you may say. Nowadays in a little, not to be so harsh, because in India especially you might get a lot of repercussions by using this word. Nicha or Chandal, we can say the underprivileged. Again, this is due to Prarabdha Karma. Person born in such conditions, we find it, they have no culture, right? No training. They have no understanding of right and wrong. They don't understand what is clean and unclean. They have no differentiation between the hands and the feet. Right? Like we know that we will not touch something with our feet. We will respect something with our hands. But sometimes you see people who come from such cultures, they will use their feet to touch things and they will, they have, so we see, such backgrounds of people, they have no distinction between hand and feet. They have no distinction between friend and father. For example, how they talk to their friend is the same way they will talk to their father. And some of us will feel very shocked that you should have some respect when you speak to someone seen as a cultural thing. But people sometimes come from such backgrounds where it is so difficult. So such people, sometimes we think, that can they even take up to bhakti? It's so difficult. So the Nicha, the Chandal, the underprivileged personal people, sometimes they have lack of basic consciousness. What do you think as human values? They don't perceive life and death. For them, life is something is a life, it's a life. If it dies the next moment, it's okay. And if someone dies, they are not affected by it. Sometimes you see people in their own family, if there's a death happen, and you go to them feeling very sad. Oh, I'm so sorry, I heard there's a death in your house. Yeah, there's a death in my house. Okay. You find them so indifferent. So what is this, There's that sensitivity is not there. We hear how people, they catch animals, they press chicken to death, they pull the limbs of birds and frogs and so on. And we think of how people can do like this. So no sense of life and death. For them is the same thing, right and wrong, hands and feet, same thing. Right? We are very careful when we sit, we cover our feet. We don't touch something to our feet. But for them, moving something or pulling something with the feet. So this is the kind of people we are dealing with. This is the kind of people that we are seeing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. In Madhya Leela, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before he leaves to Puri, he gives instructions to all his associates. He calls Nityananda Prabhu, he says, you preach in Bengal, don't go here, don't go there. Right? He gives all his associates some instruction. And specifically, he gives an instruction to Advaita Acharya. He says to Advaita Acharya, Acharya re agya dila koriya samana achandala adi Krishna bhakti diyodana. Specifically, he gives to the topmost Brahmana, Advaita Acharya, that your department is Chandala Prachar. Achandala adi Krishna bhakti diyodhan. Your specific duty is to preach Achandala, like we say, A Brahma Bhuvana Loka. Right? We say A Brahma, up to Brahma Loka. So he's saying that from Chandala on the way upwards. You start from the low, don't go for high. Generally, if you come from some background,
You want to preach to someone in your background, isn't it? If you're a businessman, you like to teach to businessmen. If you're a doctor, you may want to preach to doctors. So here's Advaita Acharya, one of the topmost Brahmanas in Shantipur, in Navadvip. And he's given him what task? Achandala. You start from the lower category first. Don't go Brahmana preaching. You start from lower category. Achandala. So here's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. He's so kind, even to the fallen. With great respect, he requested Advaita Acharya, please give Krishna consciousness, devotion to Krishna, even to the lowest of men. We see that whether a person is a papi, whether a person is a daridra, whether a person is a nicha, it does not bar anyone from taking up to Krishna consciousness. Chaitanya Charitamrita, another verse comes in Antya Leela, there's a glorification. नीचा जाति न हे कृष्ण भजने अयोग्य नीचा जाति न हे कृष्ण भजने अयोग्य. It is not a disqualification to worship Krishna if someone is from a nicha jati, like we discussed. Someone having such backgrounds, don't know within right and wrong, hands and feet, friend and father. It is not a disqualification. Satkula vipra na he bhajane ayogya. And just because someone is born in a satkula, a very good family, that doesn't mean you have credentials to worship God. Je bhaje se bhada abhakta hi nachad. But one who worships Krishna, he is greater. Whoever worships Krishna, whether you're a Nicha or a Satkula, who worships Krishna, say bhada. He is great. Right? A bhakta, but if someone is not a devotee, whoever he may be, he is a hina. Right? Krishna bhajane nahi jati kuladi vichar. To worship Krishna, there is no consideration of jati or kul. It's a very beautiful verse. So this is the third kind of person. Right? Let's see again what are the first kind. First is papi. Second is daridra. And third is the nicha. Now fourth, patita. This is in ISKCON, no? This is our most famous. Patita Pavan, my Lord, Patita I'm fallen. So many songs. So let's see what's patita. Patita basically means fallen. What does it mean? Those who have privilege. Earlier we discussed about underprivileged, isn't it? But patita means those who are privileged but are behaving like underprivileged. Those who have all facilities, those who have all credentials, those who have all abilities, but they are behaving like a niche. That is called patita. Example we see of Ajamil. Satkula Vipra, nice family, all training, everything, but he was behaving not very nicely. So that is a condition of a patita. So basically, patita means they are victims of self-degradation. Victims of self-degradation, degrading oneself, and one is suffering from it. That is the condition of a patita. Fallen. Now when one is fallen, sometimes it's very difficult to pull oneself up. Right? Sometimes people are struggling that, having all facilities, having all knowledge, having all know-how, practice, everything, but somehow stuck in some bad habits or bad culture or just fallen in nature. It's very difficult to pull oneself up. One needs help. One needs someone superior. One needs someone strong. One needs someone willing to bend down to pull oneself up. It's not very easy. Right? So this is the nature of patita. But even such patita person can be delivered by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So, Sarvam Bhattacharya, another great Brahmana, but disciple of Lord Chaitanya, he quotes, and he says in his glorification of Lord Chaitanya called Shri Chaitanya Shatak, where he mentions, Sarvesham Papa Yuktanam, a person may be completely filled with sin. Tratum Shaktonya Devata, but he is possible to be delivered from his sins by any kind of demigods. Tratum Shakto Anya Devata. If a person is filled with papa, any of the devatas can solve your problem. Right? You can pray, do some what is called as parigaram or what is called as prayaschita. You can do some prayaschita. And any of the devatas can remove your papa. But Sarvam Bhattacharya says, Mamo udhare prabhu gauro, but my great most udar, right? Magnanimous master, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what does he do? Yata patita pavana. He goes down and he pulls someone who doesn't have qualification, who probably doesn't even ask for help. He pulls him up. That is the condition of a patita. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful. Sometimes we are also struggling, but we forget to ask for help. Right? But still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu helps, even if we don't ask for it. But if a person wants to be clear of papa, he has to ask for it. But that you can get even from the devatas. But no one is going to the extent of pulling you up. It's a big task, to go down to someone's level and pull up a person, isn't it? In our social work, we call it grassroot level, working at the grassroot level. Very tough. You have to be with them, live with them, stay with them, talk with them, be one of them. It's very tough actually. So that's the fourth kind of person. Patita, they also get delivered by Lord Chaitanya. Now we'll see the fifth kind, Dukita, right? Dukitatma, person who's always very distressed. So in the modern world, we have created so many kinds of advancements, isn't it? So much advancement, so much of technology, so much of facility, so much of utilities. But the reality is we are more depressed. We are more distressed, isn't it? Things are supposed to make our life better, but it is more troubling. Because this is the age of Kali Yuga, like we know the qualities of Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagya. He upadruta. Upadruta means always disturbed. So the dukita, the people who are always constantly disturbed. So I guess Mahaprabhu included this term because someone may be thinking, I'm not a papi, I'm not a daridra, right? Someone may saying that I'm not a patita, I'm not nicha, but at least this will be covered. Right? Everyone is a dukita. Right? If you go out anywhere in the world today, and if you see everyone's faces, right? Like we move around practically every day, we go out for doing some service for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we see everybody, nobody is happy. Everyone is just sulken face, stressed, angry, filled with tension. Now, if we see the example of the education industry. So education industry today, if you compare this with 40, 50 years ago, if you get a certificate, that was sufficient, right? A certificate. You get a certificate, you have some skills, sufficient. Then they started with diploma. No. 1 year is not enough. Study 2 years or 3 years, you need a diploma. And then during our time, maybe about plus 10, 15 years ago, diploma was not enough. You need a degree, isn't it? And probably for the last 10 years, degree is not enough. You need masters, else no one is going to look at you. And today's day and age, like I still deal with some college students, everyone has masters. It's so easy. Today, you need PhD, postgraduate. But whether they have certificate or PhD, still people are struggling to find job. Isn't it? PhD person also cannot find job. I have a friend who has done 2 masters, 1 PhD, still he cannot find a job. So, so it does not, that means suffering is always there in any form, any shape. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also very merciful to those who are the Dukitatmas, the Dukit people. So, there's a beautiful verse which, again, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is quoting in Chaitanya Shatak. Chaitanya Shatak is 100 verses full with glorifications of Lord Chaitanya. In Sanskrit, very beautiful, very deep depth. So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, Hare Nama Krishna Nama Gana Dana Karinim Shoka Moha Lobha Tapa Sarva Vigna Nashinim Pada Padma Lubda Bhakta Vrinda Bhakti Dayinim Gaura Murti Mashu Naumi Nama Sutra Dharinim Hare Nama Krishna Nama Gana Dana Karinim. So for those who are suffering Shoka Moha Lobha, for those who are suffering Sarva Vigna Nashinim, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this Gaura Murti, this golden form, Lord Chaitanya. He has strung a string, Sutra Dharinim. He has created Nama Sutra Dharinim. He has created a beautiful necklace, a garland. Right? I hope all of you have experienced, somehow or other, sometime you have been garlanded by some flowers. Right? How does it feel? When someone garlands you with flowers, it feels very cooling, It's amazing. I've only read about this in Chaitanya Charitamrit, in Chandan and garlands. But actually when you experience it, Just someone who puts a wreath of flowers around you, it's so cooling. Amazing, na? What flowers can do. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has created such a garland, Nama Sutra Dharinim, and he has garlanded all the Dukhitatma souls. Everyone is so sad, he garland you, automatic smile. Isn't it? Sarva Vikna Nashinim. So beautiful, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A similar thing comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, in Adi Leela. Sedware Achandale Kirtana Sanchare Nama Prema Mala Ganti Paralaya Samsare. Same thing in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That Mahaprabhu came, he took Harinam, right? And he took Prema, love of God, and he made it into a flower. Sometimes when you make flowers, you can put one flower and the garland is beautiful. But if you mix flowers, it's even more beautiful. If you put some leaves in between, it's even more beautiful. So Mahaprabhu took the holy name and he took Prema. And he started to make a beautiful lace of garland. And what did he do? He garlanded the entire world. He garlanded the entire world with this garland. And all the Dukhitatmas became Sukhi. So this way Mahaprabhu even delivered the Dukhis, Dukhitatma. Beautiful. So this is the fifth kind of person. We have the Papi, right? Then we have the, let's see, you remember not? Papi, Daridra, right? The poor person, and then the Nicha, the underprivileged. The Patita, those who are privileged but acting like underprivileged. And the fifth, the Dukkita, right? The Dukkita, the most miserable. Now let's see the sixth. We have 7 together. We'll finish on time, don't worry. So, so the sixth is known as Adhama. Adhama means the lowest of all people. These are words that are used in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavatam, where Lord Chaitanya is delivering such people. So Adhama means the lowest of all people. Basically, they are like villains, vicious kind of people. Someone may call them monster also. Condemned, bad person, degraded, acting like mlecha, yavanas. So today in Kali Yuga, it's unimaginable what kind of people are filled in this world. They walk in human form, but factually they are animal-like. In this book that we are currently teaching, Matchless Gift, right? Matchless Gift, Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. So in the 6th chapter of that book, the small book of Prabhupada, Prabhupada says 3 kinds of people cannot understand God. Prabhupada says animals cannot understand God, obviously. They cannot understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Prabhupada says person who are almost like animals. That means animal-like people. And then Prabhupada says animals in the shape of human beings. That means animal-like, animalistic and animal-like. So animals, animalistic, having animal-like tendencies, and animal-like people who are actually so, you can't imagine, you know. So, I mean, I don't want to give disturbing details in a Bhagavatam class, but nowadays, if you see on social media, I have many friends, students, whatever, who keep sending me reels and videos of crimes and you know, news and whatnot of the most heinous, horrible things that are happening today. And all of it is from India, you know, so shocking. I have some students who are in medical school and they sometimes send me messages, what's all happening in the hospitals, right? 13-year-old girl comes pregnant by her father and God, whatnot, you know, different things. So we hear news of mother killing their own child just to hide an affair that the child has come to know. We hear daughter getting her boyfriend to kill her father and younger brother. Recently this happened. Killed her father, killed her younger brother because the parents her father did not agree with her relationship. And they put the brother in small body in the fridge. And a sister has done this. Can you imagine? A brother, a son who killed his entire family, including his grandmother. Right? This is also in India. Because they could not fulfill his request. He took the father's gun and he shot father, shot mother, shot sister, shot brother, shot grandmother, shot everyone, killed them all. So how can people, you know, when you hear all this in our own, we may think, you know, something like this happens in the West. But it happens in India. To go even one step further, nowadays cannibalism is coming so rampant. People who commit murder, then they eat their victims. Right? They kill someone, then they eat their flesh. This is also happening in India. So, this is what is called as adhama. And someone may think that, I can deal with the papi, I can deal with the nicha, fine with the, all the other kinds of people, but adhama, people who are animal-like, animalistic, like Prabhupada says, animals in the shape of human beings, how is it possible? So, still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is even merciful to such people, adhama. So let's say a beautiful pastime. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, and afterwards he wanted to go back to Bengal, he was at the border of Odisha, and Prataparudra Maharaj told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you're going to cross now and enter, which is currently the kingdom of King Birhambir, right? Very close by. He was saying that time it was ruled by a Muslim king. And he says this Muslim king is a drunkard, and he's the most fallen of all, Adhama. You should not trust him. So Pratapadura Maharaj requests Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please stay for at least 10 days at the border, and we'll try to negotiate something. When things are safe, then you cross. So there's a river called Rup Narayan river between Bengal and Odisha. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, okay, fine, no issues. He was there. At that time, the Muslim government sent a spy. And this spy, when he came and he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was amazed. He became so transformed just seeing Lord Chaitanya. He goes back to the Muslim king and he tells the king, right, that there's this person who has come from Jagannath Puri, this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and with him are thousands and hundreds of saints like devotees. And incessantly, they are always chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They are laughing, they are dancing, they are crying. He says, Lakha lakha loka aise taha deki bare tare deki punarapi yai de nare ghare. Just by seeing him, you don't want to go home. Just by seeing this assembly, everyone is chanting, my Lord, my King. No one wants to go home. And having said this, he said, I cannot describe this. You have to see it for yourself. But the spy is saying, I have understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After saying this, what happens to the Muslim spy? Etakohi sechara Hari Krishna Gaya. The spy himself starts chanting Hari Krishna. Hase konde nache gaye baulera praya. He became like a madman. He started, transform. Now this Muslim ruler, seeing this, hearing this, his mind became changed. He has not seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has not seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has just heard about Lord Chaitanya. Just see the power of mercy of Lord Chaitanya. He has not seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has just heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He feel a change. He sends a secretary. He sends a secretary to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this Vishwasa, the secretary, right? When he comes and see Lord Chaitanya, he becomes transformed. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vishwasa Asya Prabhura Charane Vandila Krishna Krishna Kahi Preme Vivala Hoila. Coming to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing his lotus feet, he starts chanting Krishna Krishna Krishna. What nice garvapsi, huh? Anyways. After calming down, the secretary, the Muslim secretary, he offered his respects. He informs the Mahapatra, who is the representative of the Odisha government with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the time. He says, the Muslim king has sent me here. If you agree, he would like to come and meet Lord Chaitanya. Right? This is a peace treaty. We are not here to fight. This is a proposal of peace. The Mahapatra was shocked. The king, that Muslim governor, who we all know in the border of Odisha, because the Bengal government wanted to attack Jagannath Puri. Right? And at that time, when Rup Sanatan recently had the good fortune of going to Ramkeli, so Rup Sanatan, when they heard that Nawab Hussain Shah, he wanted to attack, they said, no, don't do that. This is Deva Bhumi. This is not ordinary place. You're not attacking another kingdom. You're attacking a Deva Rajya. This is the kingdom of God himself, Jagannath Puri. You cannot do this. So they will not want to work with him. Unfortunately, he did not listen, and Nawab Hussain did attack. So the Odishan government, Prataparudra Maharaj, they're always very fearful of this Muslim rulers who are coming to attack, So the Mahapatra was shocked. How did this person change his mind, who now wants to come and take darshan of Lord Chaitanya? So, beautiful verse comes, description given by Kaviraj Goswami. Apane Mahaprabhu Tara Mana Firaila. Our Mahaprabhu has turned his mind. Darshane Smarane Jara Jagat Tarila. Just by seeing him or remembering him, the entire world becomes delivered. So sometimes, one time, one devotee asked a question to one of a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, that when we preach to new people, should we talk about Lord Chaitanya? It seems a little far-fetched. They may not understand. What they can understand? If you talk about Krishna, okay, they can understand. Should we talk about Lord Chaitanya? So this disciple of Srila Prabhupada, senior sannyasi in ISKCON, Guru, he said, yes, you should. Darshane smarane. Just by hearing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whether they understand, whether they have seen or not seen, their minds will become changed. That is the unlimited mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada writes in this purport, very beautiful purport. I like to read this. Prabhupada, seeing this verse, Prabhupada says, from this we can understand that since the Muslim governor was a drunkard, ordinarily there'd be no chance that he would change, adhama. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could turn anyone's mind to Krishna consciousness. One can be delivered from material existence simply by remembering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's holy name or by visiting him. This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread throughout the world, but not even one yavan or mlech addicted to drinking could have changed and accepted Krishna consciousness without Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's grace. People are often astonished to see many Westerners, thousands of Westerners, converted to Vaishnavism. Generally, Westerners are addicted to meat eating, drinking, gambling, illicit sex, today in India as well. Therefore, their taking up to Krishna consciousness is astonishing. In India especially, there is much astonishment at this. The answer, however, is given here. Darshana smarane jara jagat taraila. This change is made very sincere. This change is made possible simply by remembering the remembrance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Western devotees are very sincere, sincerely chanting the holy names of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, people are being purified and their consciousness directed from Maya to Krishna. So one time Srila Prabhupada did tell his disciples that this Panchatattva mantra is more powerful than Hare Krishna mantra. Then disciples asked, then why we are not chanting Panchatattva mantra? Prabhupada says, because Mahaprabhu gave us the instruction. Mahaprabhu told us to chant and we are disciples of Mahaprabhu. So although this Panchatattva is actually very powerful. Prabhupada said this in Africa because people there were very difficult to preach to. Prabhupada says, chant Panchatattva mantra. So it's already 9 o'clock. I'm sorry to go over time. Last 7th person is remaining, which is Murkha, fool. So for those, if your schedule is not allowing, you can leave. I'll just permit me 10 minutes and we'll finish this. So the 7th person is Murkha, fool. Fool is what? A person despite having all liberties, having all access, not doing anything bad, but still unable to take up to pure devotional service. We have fans of Krishna. Like nowadays, because of social media, there are many people who come and say, Prabhuji, I'm also Krishna Bhakt. Right? But they're actually fans of Krishna. They just like Krishna. So from fans of Krishna, we want to turn them to friends of Krishna. And we want to turn them to devotees of Krishna. But ultimately, we want to ensure that everyone practices pure devotional service. Shuddha Bhakti. What is Shuddha Bhakti? Anya Bilashita Sunyam. Right? So these are Murkhas, are people who do devotional service or take up to Bhakti or any form, but still aspiring after Bhukti, material enjoyment, still aspiring after Mukti, salvation, still aspiring after Siddhi, some perfections, right? They don't take Bhakti very seriously. So they are called as Murkha. Even such people can be delivered by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So Sarvam Bhattacharya in his Chaitanya Shatak, very beautiful verse he says. He gives the condition of this world. He says, Samsara Sarpa Dashtanam. In this world, all of us are bitten by a snake. Samsara Sarpa Dashtanam Murchitanam Kalau Yuge. He says, if you're bitten by a snake, you should die. But actually, not all snakes are poisonous. But all snakes bite. So generally 90% when a person gets bitten by a snake, first thing is panic, isn't it? The person murchitanam, the person collapses, faints out of fear. Actually many people die out of fear. The snake is not poisonous, still the person dies because fear. Snake na bite. So samsara sarpa dashtanam murchitanam kalau yuge. People in this world have fainted, are fainted. Why? Being bitten by samsara. So fainted here means what? Coma-like situation. We are unable to realize the cause of our suffering. We don't stop to think, is the snake poisonous or not? Am I really hurt or not? Immediately, coma. So what is the medicine for such a person? Aushadam Bhagavan Nama. He gives two kinds of medicine. He says the first Aushadam, medicine for snake bite, is Bhagavan Nama, chanting the holy names. Then he says Srimad Vaishnava Sevanam, and also serving the Lord. So he gives serving the devotees of the Lord. Srimad Vaishnava, great devotees. So he gives two medicines. What are the two medicines? Chanting the holy name and Vaishnava Seva. Why? Because sometimes doctor also gives like this. When you have some injury, doctor gives you, right? If you have some serious injury, doctor gives you always more than one medicine. Have you experienced? Someone who has been hospitalized or some chronic illness, doctor will never give you one medicine. If you have small disease, doctor give you one medicine and go. But if you have some chronic issue, doctor gives you so many medicines, right? I remember Prabhuji was in hospital also. We went to visit Prabhuji. He's back and, so many medicines were there. And like Prabhuji was sitting there and saying that this, ye khana padega, is like so much goalies. So why doctor will say this reduces pain? This medicine is to help you for healing. So you have to take everything. So he gives two medicines. But still, people don't take it very seriously. What is this chanting of the holy names? So between both, chanting the holy names and Vaishnava Seva, which do you think is more superior? Chanting the holy names or Vaishnava Seva, which do you think is more superior? Vaishnava Seva. Utkarsh Prabhu is saying Vaishnava Seva. Yes, that is what Sarvam Bhattacharya will describe in the following verse. He has given the Aushadhi, but he knows, doctor tell you, take this, take this. But the patient is not very serious. So you have to elaborate the seriousness. So in the next verse after this in Chaitanya Shatak, he says, Vishaya Vishta Murkanam. He says, Vishaya Avishta. They are totally engrossed in sense gratification. You are totally in a comatose situation. You will forgot to take the medicine. Huh? I met one devotee. He was saying that, oh Prabhu, I have sugar, I have this, I have that. So I say, are you taking your medicines? 3 times a month I take. Other times I forget. He tells like that. So you're not taking it seriously. So high sugar and all, you should be careful. He's joking about it. So Vishaya Avishta Murkanam. They are fools. Sarvam Bhattacharya is saying. Why? Chitta Samskara Aushadam. They are hardwired for being a fool. Hardwired in comatose situation. So foolish. They are not taking it up because of past impressions. So Chitta Samskaram Aushadam. How will we... There's a saying in the technology industry, clean sweep the hard disk. How do you complete reformat the hard disk? The chitta samskara, all the previous impressions, how do you clean it? He says, the aushadam, he describes this medicine now detailed. Vishrambena guru seva vaishnavochista bhojanam. Serving the guru and honoring the remnants of Vaishnavas. If you see, these two things are actually part of Vaishnava seva. So in the earlier verse, he tells two medicines, holy name and Vaishnava Seva. In the next verse, he elaborates Vaishnava Seva. What is Vaishnava Seva? Vishrambena Guru Seva. Here, Guroho. He doesn't say Guru. He says Guroho, of the spiritual master, plural, meaning serving someone superior. So we have seen a case, sometimes devotees struggling in their sadhana, right? And some senior devotee comes and he sees you're struggling. He says, come and travel with me. Just be with me. I've seen some magnanimous devotees, they say, just be with me. And I'm thinking, what is the solution to this? Tell him to chant, sit and chant. No. The solution is what? Just be with me, just travel with me. Everything will be okay. Vishrambena Guru Seva. So merciful. You just be with me. Because unknowingly the person engaged in serving a great personality, he comes back to his senses. Vaishnavochista bhojanam. To actually respect and honor, thinking that, if you can respect the uchista of somebody, that means you respect that personality. right? So if you're thinking how I'll develop some desire or devotion or attraction for a devotee, try to actually heartfully respect the Uchista, right? Vaishnavochista Bhojanam. So these are two ways of Vaishnava Seva. Like this, all kinds of people, 7 kinds of people we saw, are all delivered by Lord Chaitanya. So, now, we should never feel superior when we talk about the 7 people. These are the 7 people, that I am here on behalf of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver the 7 people. Never like that. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, when he was preaching in Juhu, initial years, he was then sent by Prabhupada to Chennai to do fund distribution and all. And he asked Prabhupada how to go about it, meeting day in, day out materialistic people. So Prabhupada told him one verse, which is spoken by Prabodhananda Saraswati in Chaitanya Chandramrita. He reminds him again and again. Prabhupada reminds Giriraj Maharaj. He says, Dante nidaya trinakam padayor nipatya. Take a straw within your teeth. Fall on the feet. Kritva chakakushatameta bravimi. 100 times you request the person. Take a straw between your teeth and 100 times you request the person. He sadhava sakalameva vihaya durat. O great practitioner of bhakti. He sadhava. Put everything else away from you. Gauranga Chandra Charane Kurutanuragam. And please turn your attention to the lotus feet. So Prabhupada says this is the mood of the preacher. We are never superior to these people, but with a straw in the teeth, a person has to fall at the feet of these people. These 7 kinds of people we are talking about today. Fall at their feet and Kaku Shatam. 100 times request them, bravimi, bravimi, request them again and again and again and again. Please, hey Sadhava. Prabhupada writes here in the translation, implore them with sweet words. Please, please, turn to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Gauranga Chandra Charane Kurutanuragam. Develop some anuraga for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. If you develop some Anuraga for Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, that is your salvation. So, speaking all this, we should never feel superior. Because reality is we are all that 7 categories of people. Isn't it? So, this is like this. I like to end with a prayer that we can pray for ourselves and we can teach others to pray. It's a very powerful prayer. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya teaches us. This is a prayer to Lord Chaitanya that I want to become his devotee. Vande Shri Karuna Sindhum. My obeisance to the Lord Chaitanya, who is an ocean. No, if you think about the 7 kind of people, it's too much, right? Someone to be so merciful. So Vande Shri Karuna Sindhum Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Kripam Kuru Jagannatha Tava Dasyam Dadaswame. So in doing all this work, doing all this service, the only desire of the devotee is Tava Dasyam Dadaswame. I just want to be recognized as your devotee. I just want to be your servant. Mahaprabhu, I don't request, I don't require anything. If somehow or other you recognize me as your servant, Tava Dasyam Dadaswame. If you give me your service unto your lotus feet, that is satisfaction for me. That is enough. So this is the mood of a preacher or devotee, as Prabhupada is saying. And we see in Shastra 7 kinds of people who are delivered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shla Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, Jai. So sorry for going 12 minutes over time. Hare Krishna.